we're just a wee bit late tonight. And but what I wanted to talk to you guys is about oops, and I forgot to change the title of this. So it is not mold in your symptoms, and that's on Facebook and YouTube. But what I actually want to talk to you guys today is a little bit about hidden causes of your symptoms and Lyme disease and diseases that are actually mimicking Lyme. Okay. So, Lyme disease, and I've seen this in so many people, a lot of patients with um, chronic joint pain and inflammation actually have undiagnosed Lyme. And things like rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis can actually be from Lyme. And they get diagnosed with arthritis and rheumatoid, and their joints can get very, very achy and stiff. And you might even have all the markers, like all of your chronic inflammatory markers might be actually elevated. And it might look like you have rheumatoid arthritis, and you might actually get diagnosed with that. But again, what is the underlying cause? And rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease where the body actually starts attacking itself and the joints. And I always like to tell people that your body was not designed to attack itself. There's always something inside that joint or inside that organ or inside that tissue that can actually be from that's actually causing the body to go after that. And it looks like the body's attacking itself, and it looks like it's attacking the joints, and it's attacking different parts of your body, when it's really just trying to go after what's inside that joint or what's inside that organ, um or whatever, or that gland or that tissue, and it's trying to get rid of that instead. So multiple sclerosis can also actually be from Lyme. And people get diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and it's actually Lyme disease. Insomnia, Alzheimer's and dementia, that also can be from Lyme, because you can actually have Lyme in your brain, okay? Um, it can cause tons of hormonal issues. It can cause tons of gut issues too. So I've seen patients with plantar fasciitis, and it's actually Lyme. You get rid of the Lyme or its co-infections, um, and all that stuff goes away. There's not one single person that I have seen that does not have joint pain and inflammation that does not have Lyme. And the funny thing is that when I actually start doing muscle testing, and a lot of patients, present with like things like they have Lyme or whatnot, and it doesn't show up right away. And they actually test for parasites first. Did you know that parasites can actually have Lyme disease in them and mold? So when you start killing off parasites, and this is why some people get worse before they get better when we start doing a parasite cleanse, because when we start killing off the parasites, they can release things like mold. They can release things like Lyme. They can release things like viruses and heavy metals and heavy chemicals into your body. And that can lead to new set of symptoms. And it's easily handleable, or manageable, and we can actually take care of that, through muscle testing and through quantum nutrition testing. So what we want to do is we want to find out, well, why do you have symptoms in the first place? Why do you have your issues? And then what supplements does your body need to get rid of the underlying cause while giving nutritional support? So again, there's always usually an underlying cause of why people have symptoms, and it can, like I said, Lyme can cause multiple issues. And you don't just get Lyme disease from ticks. Any biting insect can actually transmit Lyme disease. Okay, so mosquitoes, spiders biting flies, okay? Any biting insect can actually transmit Lyme and actually parasites. And a lot of times we'll see both hand in hand, parasites and Lyme at the same time, because that biting insect just gave you a multiple things. Um, Not just Lyme, not just parasites, usually both. So, including bacteria and some other things. So, why does not Lyme then show up on, or why don't doctors really think of checking for Lyme? Well, they do sometimes. Um, they might do a blood work, and what they're doing is they're looking for antibodies. But the bad part about just checking for antibodies is that antibodies can kind of run out, meaning that your body doesn't have them anymore. So you might have produced antibodies in the first place, and you might not have, a lot of people don't develop some of these symptoms until later on, or it's just a little bit of fatigue, chronic fatigue, and that can actually be an indication of Lyme too. So you might just have a little bit of fatigue. And then a little bit later, then you develop, oh, my joints are a little bit achy. And then you develop, something else. Oh, I can't sleep. So it's like all these things that start kind of compiling where it was one here, and now you have like a multitude of symptoms, but they don't all just come at once. And so by the time, and that could take a while. It might not happen right away. You might not develop the bullseye rash and the tall tale signs of Lyme. So the doctor doesn't go looking for it right away. And by the time that they do, you might not have any more antibodies in your system. That doesn't mean that you don't have the disease, you just don't have the antibodies left anymore. So it doesn't show up on the blood work. Or sometimes you might think you have Lyme and maybe it still is recent where you got bit by that, tick that you saw or that mosquito. And you're just like, I remember I got that really nasty bite by a spider or by whatever. And after that, I really never felt good. And you might go to the doctor fairly recent after that, and they might do blood work, but maybe you never actually produced antibodies. That doesn't mean that you never got exposed. Your body just never produced them in the first place. So, blood work is sometimes not very, I don't want to say accurate, but not really accurate or a good indication of whether you actually have Lyme or not. So then what do you do? How do you test? How do you find out the root cause of why you have your symptoms in the first place? Because remember, pretty much every symptom that you have, whether it's minor or not, there's an indication that something is causing it. So in quantum nutrition testing, what we do is we look for the root cause of why you have your symptoms. And it's a non-invasive technique, and it's a pretty darn accurate test that we can do using quantum nutrition testing to find out whether you have Lyme, whether you have parasites, whether you have heavy metals or heavy chemicals. So, whether you have food intolerances, and then we can find out specifically what supplement your body needs to get rid of the underlying cause while giving nutritional support. Um, I actually just had this patient. Oh my goodness. He has he produces insulin, but he cannot use the insulin that he produces. And he's got a whole ton of symptoms, whole lot of stuff going on. He's got heart issues, he's got gut issues, he's on tons of medications. And what was he testing for? Through quantum nutrition testing, he was actually testing for a lot of toxins. Um, he was testing for mold. He was testing for Lyme, and he was actually testing for parasites. So he had a combination of all of these different things. And can a lot of his symptoms be helped? Yes. Is it going to take some time? Yes. But again, what we want to do is we want to find out the underlying causes because even things like diabetes, yes, sometimes diabetes has a lot to do with what you're intaking and what you're eating, but there can also be, especially if you're producing too much insulin or too little insulin or whatever, it's sometimes a combination of food intake, but there could also be something going on in the pancreas as well. Like you might have toxins or you might have parasites. In fact, I see a lot of patients having parasites in their pancreas, and that's or viruses too. Like, especially if you have like juvenile diabetes and you're born with it or whatever, there's something inside that pancreas that is getting missed that's causing it to not function properly. And a lot of times when we get rid of the underlying cause, the pancreas can function more optimally and your insulin levels can balance out too. So, and yeah, he's got fatigue issues, he's got hormonal imbalances, so no wonder why he's feeling like garbage. And the doctors are not able to figure out like why he cannot utilize his own insulin. Why does he have all these symptoms? So, and he just started with me. So hopefully, we get him on the right track and we get him feeling better, soon. So but yeah, I've seen a lot tons of patients with especially with, like, joint issues, arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, and they have Lyme. So, if you would like some help or if you wanna kinda get to the root cause of why you have your symptoms, don't hesitate to call us, 708-554-6730. Have a good night, guys.